you so much for tuning in for our second episode. For those of you who are new, let me tell you what you are listening to. The Other Side of This Podcast is a podcast designed to shed light on many of life's challenges in the hopes to help you to see that there is another side. And not only that, we have amazing guests on the show who will like to share their journey with you as to how they got to the other side. Our topic for tonight is a very special topic. And before I give it, I would like to honor and thank our guest for tonight, Mrs. Patricia Holland. Thank you.
Thank you,
yes.
Michelle, for having me on this podcast.
Yes.
You know, this is a first for me.
Yeah.
But I thank you. I feel very honored and very honored that you would think of me.
Yes.
To have me on your show.
And I thank you for saying yes. So, because you know, it can sometimes be a process of finding a guest, but when you find the right guest, it is peace. So I thank you. So our topic for tonight is called Good Grief. I know that we are in the holiday season, and for a lot of people, including myself, I'm in that journey with you. This is a time where you think of your loved ones, those who have transitioned on. And tonight, what we would like to do is use this episode to talk about grief in a way that is uplifting, but also real. Just to give you a little bit of education on grief, a lot of times people get the word grief and bereavement mixed up. So when we're talking about grief, we're talking about the internal response to a loss, right? That's the emotional response. That's the personal response. And there's a lot of mixed emotions that go along with that. And when we're talking about bereavement, we're just talking about the loss of someone, you know, the loss of someone because they've died. So that absence, that is the bereavement period. And then there's a word called mourning. And I know you've heard of that word as well. And mourning is the external response to a loss. So that's kind of the action that follows losing someone, your response to that loss. Okay. And that response can come out in many different ways, whether it's crying, whether it's isolating yourself, whether it's working, so many different ways. And so we're going to touch base on a lot of that in this podcast episode. We're going to also have some resources for you and some tips on how to get through the holiday grief period, but also even beyond the holidays, how to work through your grief journey. So before I provide you with that information, what I like to do is to speak to our guest tonight. Okay, so I have a few questions, and the first thing I'm going to say is, tell our guests about yourself a little bit.
Ooh, okay, little bit, real brief. Little bit. I am a 63-year-old grandmother of 6 grandchildren. I have 2 grown children. Husband recently transitioned. I won't say recently, it's been almost 7 years now. And life has been different. Yeah. I have gone from being that wife and mother, and I'm still that mother and grandmother, but being that wife and being single, and now being widowed, single, it's a totally different life.
Yeah.
Going from having this big family and everybody together and everybody's here to it just being me. And now I'm alone and not lonely too much anymore, but alone. And it's very different. It's a very different walk now.
Mm-hmm. And with your journey, I'm so grateful for the people who are going to be able to identify with your experience. And I hope nothing more than for the comfort, the provision, and the peace of God to continue to rest on you. And I thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
For sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
This is healing for me too.
Yes.
Grief is something that doesn't just go away. It has no time limit on it. It's been 7 years, almost 7 years since my husband passed away. And it's oh God, it's so hard to explain. This time of year is very hard on all of us.
On all of us.
On all of us, it's very hard. Because I can remember holidays where, like I said, family is all together and we're doing things and we're cooking and we're wrapping presents and the kids are home and, everything just feels so wonderful. And now I don't care if I put up a tree. I don't care if I buy a present. I don't care if I receive a present. Yeah. I wish a lot of times my life was back the way that it was. Mm-hmm. But I'm still here. Yes. For a reason. Mm-hmm. And a purpose. Yes. And I have my memories. Yeah. Good ones and bad ones. Yeah. And they're both okay. Because that makes up my journey. That makes up who I am. Yeah. It's so much. It's so much to say about it. I just don't really know where to start.
Well, I have a question for you. So
yes,
I'm gonna help.
You help me, please. Help me, please.
Tell us about this love of your life.
Whew, this love of my life I met when I was 16 years old. Yeah. Met him. I remember the first day that I saw him. He was this big, tall man, had this nice afro, handsome, built man. And I met him. I was like. I was dumbstruck. Who is this? And I think he felt the same because he asked his friend, he said, go talk to her for me. Get her number so you can give it to me. Yeah. And he even went so far as, we were going to VOTAC. Let me back up a little bit. We were going to VOTAC. And he even went so far as to asking somebody that I was in class with, they lived in the same city, get her phone number so I can give her a call. And she got my number for him. Yeah. And he called me and we would see each other every day. And we just started this whole love affair. Yeah. And then had some children and had some grandchildren and married and, traveled with him and loved on him, hated on him. He hated on me. He loved on me, the whole bit. We had our ups and downs. Yeah. Everything wasn't as cut and dry. Everything wasn't as, oh my God, I'm just so in love. Oh my God, I just wish I could just punch you in the face sometimes. Oh, yeah.
That comes through too.
And that's how it was. But it was okay. Yeah. It was okay.
That's marriage.
That was marriage. Yeah. It was the complications of it.
Yes.
And the complications
Talk
of
about
it.
that.
The
complications. Yeah.
And you have things that you do within the marriage, the infidelity. Yeah. Like I told you before, I'm an open book. Yeah. I am an open book. I don't mind talking about anything. Yeah. It was very difficult at some point in my life. Some points, in my marriage, it was really difficult. And it was really difficult making certain decisions to leave. Yeah. I'm not going to be treated this way anymore. I'm not going to let you treat me like this. I'm going to go. And then actually leaving. Actually leaving and feeling the pain from leaving. I wanted to leave, and now I'm in pain because I did leave. Right. And I'm even more pain because you won't talk to me because I left because of what you were doing. Mm. So it was a difficult time, but we got through it. Didn't talk for a couple of years. I would say pity pat talk. Yeah. If it's not about the kids, we don't have nothing to say. And even sometimes when it was about the kids, we didn't have nothing to say. Yeah. But all roads lead home. Mm. My mom used to tell me that all the time. all roads lead home, and they do. And each one of us had to experience certain things on our own.
Yeah.
And we wind up coming right back, pretty much to where we started. It was bittersweet because we had plans. We wanted to do things together. We wanted to travel together. Wanted to spend time with our grandkids. You know, I wanted to just finish school and then retire. And then him and I just kind of hang out together and
Right.
do things. There was another plan. God had another plan. And some days I wonder, what is that plan that you had?
Yeah.
You know, you took him, it was his time, I get it, you know, but we had plans.
Yeah.
And I was angry. I was angry with God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was angry. My husband, you know, after this time apart, we had been apart from one another for this amount of years. And then we come back together and we're finally at a point in our life where we can actually stand one another and
Yeah.
live with one another, you know, and we want to do these things together, and then you're sick and then you die. And now I'm alone, for real. You're not in another state. I can't just go see you. I can't be angry at you and I'm here in New Jersey and you're in Georgia like it used to be.
Right.
You're gone, for
Yeah.
real. You're not coming back. So where does that leave me? And it leaves me alone. And it leaves me lonely. And it left me doing things that I shouldn't have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
It left me wanting to pick up alcohol to
Yeah.
pacify my pain.
Yeah.
Wanting to smoke to pacify my pain.
Yeah.
To mask it, to mask that pain. And waking up one day and just saying, you know what, you need to do something different. You try something different with your life.
Yeah.
This is not all that there is. This is not all that there is. You love this man. He loves you. I think. I know.
Yes, he did. He loved you.
I think he loved me.
Yes, he did.
He did. He loved me. He loved me. He might not like me all the time.
Well, that's marriage,
Yes,
right?
and that's the complications of marriage.
That's the complications of marriage. You don't like him all the time.
He might not like me, but I know he did love me.
Yes.
I know he did, and I loved him. And it's just now, it's just so different.
Yeah.
It's just so different. You know, I try not to compare things that I did in my past with things, you know, how things are now in the future. I try not to compare that. But it takes a lot of getting used to.
Yeah.
It really does. It takes a lot of getting used to, but I had to realize that I'm still alive, and I still need to live, and I still have to give. I still have things to do. I still have things to do. I still have people to touch, and I need to be able to do that.
What helped you to get to that point where you were able to say, I still have, despite this significant loss of your spouse?
I still have, during the masking phase of all of this, it took a lot of Don Julio in the bottle.
No.
It did.
Yeah.
You know, and then crying afterwards and
Yeah.
saying, you know what, this is not a good look on you.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually hearing God's voice, like, you know, what are you doing? Really, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You know, like, Lord, I need you right now. I need you to talk to me. Walking through my house crying, you know, I don't have my husband. I don't have my life the way it was anymore. I don't have my house anymore. I'm living in this small space like this. I'm not used to this, you know. And he's like, okay, pretty much okay.
Yeah.
But there's some things that you need to go through.
Mm.
The humility.
Yeah.
I needed to learn humility. I needed to learn how to be humble. I needed to learn how to be satisfied with less and loss.
Yeah.
To know that God was still there, despite the fact that my husband wasn't. He's still there.
He's still there.
And he still is there.
Yes.
Despite me not being where I may need to be, he is still right there. Because he has totally blessed my life.
Yeah.
Just amazed me.
Yeah.
Amazed me.
And
totally.
before we dive into that part, because
Amazed
that part
me,
is
totally.
y'all gotta wait for that because it's coming.
Amazed me.
I thank you for everything you've shared so far. And when I listened to what you said, and a lot of times when we're talking about grief, there's stages to that process.
It is.
And I even think about my own journey from losing both of my parents, but the heaviest one was losing my mom. And I experienced what was called anticipatory grief, right? It's the anticipation that someone is about to die. So knowing that was coming, and then for it to happen, and the denial of it, this don't seem real. And for me, it was just a whole bunch of emotions because my mother died on Mother's Day. So Mother's Day has never been the same for me. So I have my kids saying Happy Mother's Day while I just got a call that my mom just died.
I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't imagine that.
So the complexities of grief and the emotions that come from that, I don't even know if I was angry. I just think I was numb and I was confused. But guess what? In the midst of all of that, I still had to do, because somebody has to be responsible for the funeral.
Yes, they do.
And you're it. You're the it person. So while you don't want to take the call and be responsible for the body and all that kind of stuff,
you had to do it.
You had to do it.
You had to do it, and I had to do it.
And that's the heavy part of grief too, having to carry on with responsibilities that you really don't want to do. No. You don't really want to have.
I don't want to.
You just want to hide from it.
Yes, I don't want to pick out your suit that I have to bury you in.
Right.
I don't want to have to pick out the shoes and the underwear that I have to bury you in.
Right.
I don't want to have to speak with the funeral home on how this is going to look.
Right.
I don't want to have to call VA to let them know that you passed away.
Yeah.
And this is what I need to get done.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I have to.
I have to.
Because nobody else is going to do it. There's nobody else to do it. And I have to do it.
But God's grace.
Nothing but His grace.
But God's grace.
Nothing but His grace.
Is so.
He says it's sufficient for us.
Sufficient.
And it is sufficient.
Resting.
Yeah.
On us.
Yeah.
And on you.
Yes.
In those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does. And it does. And it covers us. His grace covers us even more during those times.
During those times, yes.
We can lean on Him even the more during those times.
There is a scripture, I have it written down, that was comforting to me. And it was 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. It says, God is a merciful Father and the source of all comfort. He comforts us in all troubles. And it's tapping into that comfort.
The comfort couldn't come from a man, a woman, another. It couldn't come from
a bottle.
It couldn't come from anything foreign other than from Him. That comfort had to come from Him. I can remember many nights just laying in my bed and crying and crying. And I still do. Yes. It's not as frequent.
Right.
But I still do.
Yeah. I
still do. There's nights that I feel very, very alone. Very alone. I know I'm not alone, but I just, in my spirit, it just, something wells up inside of me and it's like, I don't have anybody anymore. I don't have that person to come home to and that giving me a hug. Hey, honey, how was your day? Give me a kiss on the cheek. Love you. You look good today. We, as creatures, we crave that human affection and that touch and that love. Connection. When you don't have that, it's very. It makes you feel very alone. And that's the best way that I can put it.
Yeah.
It's just very alone, and I try to fill my days with other things. You know, I try to find other things to keep me busy, work, more work than anything else.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself being a little OCD. I'm at home, I'm cleaning,
Yeah.
you know, cleaning out things, and I'm putting things here and putting things there, and taking it from here and putting it somewhere else, and, you know, just to kill time sometimes. So I don't have to think. You know, and then going from one extreme to the next, you know, so now you put the bottle down and you're not drinking anymore, so what are you doing now?
Yeah.
You're replacing that with something.
Mm-hmm.
You're replacing it with something. Sometimes we choose the wrong things to replace it with.
Right.
You know, instead of getting in the Word of God and
Mm-hmm.
letting that comfort us, you know, oh, let me find something else to do. Oh, let me find something on TV. Oh, let me find this. Oh, let me find that.
It's like a spiral.
Yes.
It's a spiral.
Yes.
And sometimes we spiral out of control
We do.
until we crash.
Until we crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once we crash, you know, we're looking up at him like, Lord, then he's like, I didn't leave you. I never left you. You know, you decided that you wanted to do this on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the chastisement is, I'm going to let you do this on your own.
Mm.
I'm going to let you do this on your own. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to let you do this on your own. And then maybe when you come back this time, and this is in my mind, it doesn't have to necessarily be this way.
Yeah.
This is how I see it. When you come back, maybe you'll listen this time. Just like a father or a mother talks to their child. I've told you over and over again not to do it this way. I've told you over and over again. And once you get to a point where you've done it so much, and you get to that point where you really get hurt, and then they tell you, now maybe you'll listen.
Mm-hmm.
I think God is like that sometimes with us. You think you're going to listen this time?
And he tried to, and I love it sometimes, well, I can say sometimes, but I love it the way my bishop preaches and teaches at church about how the Holy Spirit convinces you. Mm-hmm. Not convicts you, not makes you guilty. Convinces you that mm-hmm. there's a better way. Mm-hmm. Right? And I know in my journey, when my mother passed, I took a leave of absence from work mm-hmm. because I couldn't do it. And I'm not a person that says I can't a lot. That's not in my vocabulary, but in that, you know, I had to accept my limitations, and I couldn't be in work doing therapy, you know.
And you needed therapy.
And I needed therapy, and I got therapy.
You got therapy.
So part of it, talking about that, so part of my process was I got a therapist. I had a therapist as her death was kind of like imminent. Mm-hmm. So I had a therapist in that process. But what I also did was I found an app called Abide, ABIDE, and it's a Christian meditation app. Mm-hmm. And I would sit quietly and just allow my emotions to flow mm-hmm. and let that meditation guide me. And then after that, I would journal. Whatever key word came out from that meditation, mm-hmm. I would write it in my journal. I would write why it stood out to me. I would find scriptures that aligned with that journal, with that word, mm-hmm. that one word. Mm-hmm. And then I would try to find a sermon that went with that word. Mm-hmm. And at times I would even go to the park and just walk in the park and listen to the sermon on that one word, because it was the word that helped center me mm-hmm. in that emotional hurricane of grief. Mm-hmm. And you know, that emotional hurricane of grief.
Wonderful. And those are the things that sustain us. Those are the things that you're talking about that sustain it, and it anchored you
in the storm.
Mine was totally different.
Yeah.
You know, yours where you got that strength from that. I picked up something that was totally killing me.
Yeah.
Killing me.
Yeah.
I want to drink. I went retail therapy. Yeah. You know, shopping every day.
Yeah.
Let me go shop. Let me just go buy something new. Let me just go buy something new today. Let me just go buy something new today. Let me go a couple times a week and go buy something new.
Yeah.
Instead of being anchored, instead of doing that, that was my anchor.
But something changed because you didn't keep doing that.
I didn't.
So how did you get to your anchoring point in your grief?
How did I get there? Whew. Crying out.
Yeah. Oh, much of that.
Crying out.
Much of that. Yeah.
Crying out. Still crying out. Still crying out.
Yeah.
To this day, still crying out.
Yeah.
Okay. In the shower.
Yeah.
Crying out. In my bed, crying out. In my car, driving, crying out. Standing over the stove, standing over the sink, crying out. Sitting on the couch looking at a movie, and all of a sudden something triggers me, crying out.
Yeah.
Getting on my knees, on my face, just crying out, asking God, please, can you just take this pain? Because I can't deal with this pain.
Yeah.
Because it hurts too bad. It hurts too bad. And not knowing what the next day is going to look like.
Right.
Not knowing what the next day is going to look like, and some days not wanting to be there for the next day to look like anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I would rather just not even have to deal with this. I would rather not even be here.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where, Lord, I need something different in my life. I need you to do something different. Now, I'm not always walking the way I need to walk with him by people's standards of walking with him, but I know him. Yeah. And I know what he's done for me. Yes. And I've seen just the miraculous things that he's done in my life. He took that from me. He took that want to shop all the time from me. He took that want of wanting a drink every day from me. He took that from me.
And did you utilize any like for example, like I said, I went to therapy and things of that nature, but did you utilize any like resources in your journey?
You know something, and I didn't. I really didn't. Yeah. And that's sad because I know that there were so many resources out there. I didn't. Yeah. COVID sat me down. When COVID sat everybody down, COVID really sat me down. So I can't really say I didn't use resources. I really got into one ministry, a ministry on television. Yeah. Pastor Furtick.
Oh, he's awesome.
Pastor Furtick.
He's awesome.
Would hit it up, and I would be all in with him.
Yeah.
Listen to that word, and I know when we keep listening to something, and we keep doing something, and we keep just being involved in something, it sticks. Right. And that really helped me. Prior to that, I was going to church, Renew Church with Pastor Barron. Okay. That word was hitting me. Yeah. And then when COVID happened, I'm like, okay, I'm home. I really don't want to go out. I really don't feel like, getting in my car and going to church, and I got to put a mask on, and I got to stand 6 feet away from my neighbor. Right. I'm not doing all that. So I'm going to be home. But I needed to find something at home that was still going to fill my spirit, and I would turn that on, and I still turn him on today. I would turn that on, and he would just start with that word, and I would be like, oh, this is different. Yeah. It was refreshing. The way he was bringing it was just so refreshing, and it made me start really looking at me like, get up. Stop being downtrodden. Yeah. Why are you laying around, just succumbing to this pain? Why are you doing that? And you still got life inside of you. You still have some things to do. Yeah.
And it's not until, I thank you for sharing that. And it's not a lot of times, we gotta feel it, And when we start engaging in behaviors that numb us, it makes it worse, and it interrupts the healing process.
It does.
And there's a quote, I got it written on my paper, but it's a quote that says, we have to feel to heal.
Yes, we do.
And if we're numbing ourselves with all kinds of things, you can't feel,
Heal.
And you can't heal. It stagnates that process. And Helen Keller, she had a quote, it says, the only way to get to the other side is through. And if we're numbing ourselves, we're not going through. No. We're not. We're trying to build, like, basically
we're building a wall around
ourselves, and guess what? You're still inside that wall with all of that.
Yeah. But you have to come through that wall.
You got to come through the wall.
And you got to feel that pain of coming.
You got to feel it. You got to feel
that pain. And for anybody that would tell you not to feel your feelings, I would tell you to turn a deaf ear and walk away.
Yeah.
You have to feel this. I need to feel what I feel. I need my emotions. If I'm emotional, let me be emotional. It's not that I'm emotional all the time,
Right.
you know, but just let me feel this in this moment. You know, be able to live right now in this moment and feel that pain and feel that hurt, what I need to feel.
And my other question to you is, what advice would you give to someone who is a widow, who has lost a spouse?
Connect with people that are going to uplift you.
Yeah.
Connect with your church, sisters in your church, brothers in your church. If you're a male, the brothers in your church. Get involved in the ministry. Volunteer. You go back to school. You know, do a couple of different things.
Like you.
Like I did. I went back to school.
Yeah.
50,
That's
I went back to school.
That's okay.
You know, but involve yourself in things that are going to take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And really put forth the effort of wanting to heal. Put forth that effort. It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But we really need to do it unless we want to just succumb to, I just want to be in pain for the rest of my life. I just want to walk around and be a martyr.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to, you know, walk around and not feel anything. So I'll just, you know, walk around with my head down. There is too much to be done in this life. And I still have life. And you still have life.
And you still have life.
You still have life to live. And God requires certain things from us. Things that we really need to be on top of. You know, He requires certain things from us. And in my mind, I don't think we leave here until we fulfill that.
Mm.
So.
Thank you. And what provision? You know, God has provision.
Let me tell you.
In His Word.
He's got provision in His Word. He's got the provisions in His Word are just like amazing, remarkable.
But how have you seen those provisions in your life at this season?
In my life, in this season?
In this season. Y'all gotta sit back for this one.
Okay, so coming from having a husband, having this house, having family, to having a smaller place to live, going from having this great job to COVID happening, to losing a car, losing jobs, and God still providing, not knowing where money is coming from, putting people in position in my life.
Yes.
Like a chessboard.
Yeah.
Like the chessboard. I'm here, I'm on the front line, you know, and then I'm getting attacked. And then He moved me back, and then He's putting somebody in front of it. And then I might get attacked on this side again, and then He's moving me back over here, but He's putting somebody.
And He's moving you like a chess piece.
He's moving me like the chess piece.
Like the chess piece.
But all the other pieces He's got in place, and they're on the chessboard, and they're protection.
Yes.
Their protection. And it's like, oh my God, you know, I recently moved. Okay, did not know.
Listen now.
Did not know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, first of all, let me tell you about the job. Lost my job in August. And my husband passed away in August. My husband's birthday was in August. So his birthday was in August. He passed away in August, and we buried him in August. So this year, 2023, I was working a job, and my husband's death date was the 15th of August. I lost my job on the 16th of August. I had been approved for a new place prior to that, but they kept pushing it out. They kept pushing out the time. They kept pushing out the time for me to move in. And I'm like, okay, Lord, where's this money going to come from? Where's this money going to come from? I don't know where this money is going to come from. And when I lost the job, I really didn't know where the money was going to come from because couldn't apply for unemployment. They told me I couldn't apply for that until March of 2024. So I'm like, where's this money going to come from, Lord? I'm not getting anything coming in. Didn't qualify for food stamps, didn't qualify for general assistance, didn't qualify for anything.
Yes.
So I truly truly had to rely on, all right, God,
Yeah.
this is what it is.
Yeah.
And
time to flex, God.
Time for you to flex.
Time to flex.
And for me to sit back and be like, and for all of us, it's how we wait.
Yeah,
It is how we wait.
Yeah.
It is how we wait.
It's
not the fact that we wait.
Yes.
That we have to wait.
Yes.
But it's how we're waiting. Are we waiting complaining?
Yes.
Are we waiting, mad? Are we waiting going back to the same things that we used to do?
Yeah.
Or are we waiting, trusting and believing that tomorrow is not going to look like today?
Yeah.
Because I got somebody greater that lives on the inside of me. And I know that I'm being protected.
Yes.
I know
you gotta trust
I
it.
know this.
Yes.
I know this. And so they kept pushing the date for the place back. They kept pushing it back. And then, oh, Miss Holland, it's not ready. It's not ready. And it's not ready. And I lost my job. I'm like, oh God, okay, so I still have this place. My sister said to me, she was like, just because you're not working doesn't mean you can't move into your new place. And I'm like, oh my God, where's the money going to come from?
Yeah.
And my friend said to me, the money's going to come. Don't worry about that. It's going to come. It's going to happen for you. So there's no reason for you to complain. So don't complain.
Yeah.
Don't speak that. Don't put that
Come
out
on.
in the atmosphere.
Come on.
Because our words have power.
What
our
are you
words
speaking?
Are energy.
Yes, it
and
is.
they have power.
Yes, it is.
So we have to be very careful about how we speak things out of this right here. Because we manifest certain things.
That's right.
We manifest that life. We manifest those good and those bad things
in
our life by the words that we speak. So I'm waiting and I'm like, Lord, today is, I don't know what it's going to look like, And then they pushed it out again, and we're in September now, so they pushed it out again. And we get to the end of September, and then the place I was residing in was being sold. And it's like, I need to move. And I had a week to move. And I'm sitting on the couch. I remember sitting on the couch. A friend of mine came. Is that the end of our?
That's not the end.
That's not the end. Okay. Awesome. But I remember. I'm sitting on the couch, and I get a phone call, come take a ride with me. And I got in the car, and my friend said, I have the money for you to move into your place.
Come on now.
I had the money to move into my place. I had a charity that helped me with a portion. My friend helped me with the largest portion.
Yes.
My friend got a truck for me.
Yes.
And moved me from the place I was in to the place I am right now. And started a new job right after that, a week after that. So all of the provisions were put there.
All your needs.
All my needs were met.
Yeah.
All of my needs were met. It's not the fact that we have to wait, it's how we're waiting.
Yes.
It's how we're waiting. Now, was I worthy of that? I wasn't worthy of any of that. But the grace. Yeah. The grace. And truly, His grace is
and that's His word. I will provide all of your needs.
According to my riches.
Yes, that's it. He'll provide them. We got to trust it.
Yeah. And it was just amazing. It was just an amazing, that has been amazing for me to see it. And it happened like immediately. Yeah. It happened immediately. The longest part was waiting from the time I lost my job until, I started working again. But all the things that happened, that transpired during that time, and me having to wait. But then, when I knew I had to move, and it's like, okay, you have to move, and you have this amount of time to move, and it was almost like Him saying, all right, now it's go time. Now let me show you what I'm really getting ready to do for you. Yeah. Let me show you right now. You didn't think you had nobody to help you. You didn't think you had a provision, but I'm making the provision for you. I'm making it I'm touching their heart so they will help you. Yes. Yeah. So,
and that's how He orchestrates things.
And it was it blew my mind. It just totally blew my mind. And then for the job to call and say, yes, we want to hire you, and this is when we want you to start. Yeah. And now I'm doing something that I can truly say I love doing, and I can give back.
And give back.
And I give God the praise.
Yes.
You know, and I thank him. I truly thank him for just allowing me to still live life.
Yeah.
In spite of the loss.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good grief.
Yeah, good grief.
It's kind of good grief.
And I thank you. Tell the people.
It's kind of good grief.
It's kind of good grief.
It's kind of good grief. It's kind of good grief.
It's kind of good grief.
You know, it's still grief, you know, but it's kind of good grief. You know, it's laugh. The only thing I can say is, you know, I can make suggestions. Smile when you can, as much as you can. Laugh. Be around people that make you feel happy inside. And love.
I call them sunshine people.
Sunshine people.
People that feel like sunshine.
Yes. And smile and get up in the morning, you know, and just be grateful. Be grateful for another day. Be grateful that you were able to open your eyes because somebody wasn't able to open their eyes. Somebody went to sleep last night and they never woke up. Yeah. You know, but we're reborn every day. Yeah. We're renewed.
Yeah. New mercies.
And refreshed.
Yes.
New mercies every single day.
That's right.
And we have an opportunity to make a difference in that day. And I think we really should do that for that day. Go to bed at night. I'm grateful. Lord, thank you for the day. It's been a wonderful day. Yeah. Even through all the craziness that happens, it's been a wonderful day. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I thank you for, again, everything that you've shared and just how you have been able to evolve in your healing, in your journey. And that is God's desire. It is God's desire for us to heal. You know, not to stay in a place where we feel empty. He wants to fill every void that we have, even the loss. He wants to compensate for that. Of course, we can never get that person back, but we can always carry their love.
Yes.
You know,
we have our memories and their love. That's
and
right.
I have a quote that I wanted to read. I'm trying to get it. Grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. Grief is the price of love.
Wow.
Grief is the price of love. And so during this, again, holiday season, I wanted to also add some tips to support anyone who is grieving, to support your journey. So a few things, like we talked about, acknowledge how you feel. You know, you can't heal what you don't feel. So numbing it is blocking your healing process. Talk about your loved one. You know, talk about that person. Don't hide it. Don't hide them, but talk about them. Use a grief journal. If you have difficulty sharing about the person, write about them. Find a way to memorialize the person's life. Yes. I know yesterday was the 75th birthday of my father, and he never got a chance to meet his grandkids. So yesterday I got his favorite cake, and I bought 75 candles, and I talked about my dad to my boys, and I told them, breathe the breath that he can't. Blow out his candles. Wow. And I recorded them blowing out his candles. Wow. And wow. That was, yeah, that's what I needed. I needed that. Wow. Yeah. Breathe the breath that he can't. Wow. Woo. Talk to someone who understands. Yes. Yes. Whether that's a therapist, whether that's a friend. I'm going to give you some resources in a minute to add to that. Take care of yourself. If you're no good to yourself, you're no good to no one. So getting up, even if it's small, don't make your day long. Yeah. Just get up, take a shower, eat. If you can't eat a whole lot, eat something light. But take care of yourself. Yes. Do what feels right for you. You may not be able to commit to all these family gatherings. It may be too much, and that's okay. All right. Do what feels right for you at your capacity. And in regards to resources, there are a few support groups that are available to people who are grieving to support your grief journey. So there's one group called GriefShare. This is a faith-based Christian, but you don't have to be Christian or religious at all to participate in this group. They're virtual and in person, so you have to go on their website and look. And it's ongoing, so there's no end time. Like, it's ongoing weekly. You just have to find a group that fits your schedule. Another one is called Grief Recovery Method. They provide evidence-based grief therapy. So they're more like therapists, and there is a fee for this grief support group, and it's only for 60 days. So again, it's called Grief Recovery Method. And they touch on a lot of different types of grief, whether it's divorce or the loss of a loved one. And then last but not least, there is a grief support group called mygriefangels.org. It's free, and they provide grief counseling for all kinds of grief: losing a job, losing a pet, anticipating someone passing, and just the normal form of grief, just regular loss of someone passing. They're nationwide, and again, you just have to go to their website. I'm going to add all this information at the end of this podcast. And last but not least, there's some resources that you can obtain for, that are not support groups, but just information based. So for adults, it's called centerforloss.org. If you go to centerforloss.org, they'll give you so many resources and tips to help you work through your grief at your own pace in a self-help type of way. Then for kids who are dealing with grief, you have childrengrieve.org, Doggy.org, DOUGY.org, and Sesame Street and Communities.org. All of these resources are to support kids who are grieving. And again, last but not least, you can always connect with a therapist. Psychology Today has a lot of different therapists who are skilled with working with individuals who are dealing with grief. Okay, so I want to again thank our special guest, Mrs. Patricia Holland, for joining us. My hope is that you know that you're never alone in your grief journey. There are so many resources available. And if you ever feel so emotionally overwhelmed where, you're not sure if you want to live, I would like to provide you with the mental health crisis hotline, which is 988. Or I would encourage you to go to your nearest hospital emergency room, contact somebody for support. You're not alone. And again, there are so many resources out there for you. I hope that this holiday season be one of peace and comfort, and know that God's grace is sufficient to carry you through it. You just got to stay connected. Stay connected to his word. Stay connected to people.
Yes, most definitely. Stay connected to people.
Yes, stay connected to people.
Yep.
And remember, we're going onward and upward. We're going to the other side.